There are certain seasons in life when it feels as though the universe itself is rearranging the furniture of your existence. People quietly stepping out, plans collapsing without warning, habits you've relied on beginning to crumble. It's tempting to interpret this as punishment, as though you've failed in some hidden way. But in truth, it's preparation. You asked for more. You prayed for a higher level. And this is how it begins. Not by adding, but by subtracting what cannot journey forward with you. So when life suddenly feels unrecognizable, know this. It's not a coincidence you're hearing these words right now. This is your signal, your confirmation that you've already stepped through an invisible doorway into a new phase of becoming. Think back to those uneasy moments where life starts shifting beneath your feet. Just when you think you've got everything figured out, something solid starts to crack. You wake up with the eerie feeling that a part of you has gone missing, though you can't identify what exactly has changed. People you once leaned on begin drifting. Familiar places suddenly feel restrictive, as if you've outgrown them overnight. And though confusion clouds your vision, what you're actually experiencing is the echo of transformation that has already taken place. The discomfort isn't an omen of failure. It arrives after the shift, as your system scrambles to stabilize at a higher level. Here's the paradox. We've been conditioned to believe that uncertainty is proof we're on the wrong path. When anxiety creeps in or the ground feels shaky, we assume we must have made a mistake, taken a wrong turn. We whisper, "What's wrong with me?" instead of asking, "What's waking up inside me?" The truth is, authentic growth doesn't introduce itself wearing the calm mask of peace. It knocks on your door, dressed as disruption. It dismantles the old scaffolding of who you were, because on some deep, unseen level, you've already outgrown that older version of yourself. You're not malfunctioning, you're expanding. It's no different than the snake shedding its skin. During that process, the snake struggles to move the way it once did. It rubs against sharp edges, searching for friction to loosen the shell it no longer belongs to. The process looks uncomfortable, but without it, the new skin would never find room to stretch. Our lives unfold in the same way. Every label, every belief, every protective pattern that once kept us safe eventually becomes too tight. And the only way to step into the next version of ourselves is to release what once acted as armor, but now feels like chains. Even science offers insight into this. Neuroscience shows that your brain interprets uncertainty as if it were a direct physical threat. When your world shifts rapidly, your nervous system floods with alarm signals, as though you're being chased by danger. That doesn't mean your growth is wrong. It means your brain hasn't caught up yet. Change disrupts predictability, and predictability is what your mind equates with safety. So when you feel off, when life feels disjointed, it's often because your nervous system is still learning how to align with the person you're becoming. You're literally rewiring your inner circuitry, and the buzzing wires hum with temporary static until they settle into a new rhythm. Picture someone walking away from a stable, predictable job to follow a calling they can't logically explain. At first, exhilaration surges through them. They feel free, but soon after, panic creeps in. The old framework of identity vanishes, and questions bombard them. Did I make a mistake? Should I turn back? Yet, in the quiet spaces between doubt, a deeper knowing emerges. They didn't fail. They simply outgrew the life that once fit. That lost feeling isn't evidence of wrongness. It's the gap that forms when your old self steps aside, and your new self hasn't fully taken the reins yet. Loneliness often shows up the same way. As your inner frequency rises, some people no longer resonate with your energy. Conversations that once flowed now feel hollow. Places that once felt alive now feel draining. It's easy to assume you've been abandoned, but that isn't the truth. What's really happening is you've stepped outside the walls of the old container that held your identity. The bonds were built around who you used to be, not who you are becoming. And though the isolation aches, it is actually sacred ground. It's the stillness where you begin to hear your new frequency, without the interference of old echoes. Here lies the paradox of transformation. It rarely looks like polished confidence in the beginning. Instead, it looks like chaos, like unraveling, like questioning everything you once found comfort in. It's the tearing down before the rebuilding. When you ascend into a higher state of self, the lower patterns don't just vanish, they groan and rumble as they collapse. So if life feels unstable right now, resist the impulse to patch it all together. The chaos isn't proof that life is falling apart. It's evidence that your energy is rearranging itself to align with truth. That ache in your chest, that unease, that restless pulse in your spirit, they aren't failures. They are calibration. They are your entire being stretching towards something purer, lighter, more authentic. And here's where everything begins to shift. The moment you stop resisting the discomfort, it loses its sharp edge. You stop reading it as punishment and start interpreting it as proof of your evolution. You begin to see that tension is simply your body learning how to hold more light, your mind learning how to trust the unseen, and your spirit remembering that growth was never supposed to feel comfortable. It was supposed to feel real. And the instant you surrender to that reality, clarity slips back in. Things start making sense in ways they never did before. Soon, you notice the outer world echoing this internal change. Subtle signs appear, coincidences that feel like winks from the universe, conversations that carry hidden answers, moments that feel too aligned to dismiss. It's as though the universe leans forward, nodding in agreement with your upgrade, confirming what your spirit already knew. Think about the times coincidences pile up when everything feels uncertain. Maybe you see the same number repeating on clocks, receipts, or license plates. Maybe someone casually mentions the very idea you've been wrestling with privately. It's almost as if the universe whispers just when you're questioning the path. Many dismiss these as randomness, but what if they aren't? What if they are mirrors, reflecting your inner world syncing with a higher order? Because here's the thing, when your energy shifts, so does your attention. Suddenly you start noticing what matches your new frequency. It isn't fantasy, it's alignment. Just as a radio only tunes in once the dial is adjusted, your awareness begins receiving signals that resonate with your new vibration. That's why repeating numbers, synchronicities, or chance encounters suddenly stand out. They aren't occurring more often. You've just finally adjusted enough to see them. Of course, your rational side might protest. This is just coincidence. It can't mean anything. That skepticism is human. But psychology teaches us that our brains are wired to look for patterns. It's how we create meaning. What shifts with growth is the filter you see through. Once you elevate internally, your mind connects dots from a higher perspective. You don't just observe, you feel alignment. The real question isn't, are the signs real? The question is, am I open to being guided by them? Take this example. Someone keeps wondering whether they should leave their city. Fear and possibility pull them in opposite directions. Out of nowhere, they overhear a stranger say the exact words they've been silently repeating. You won't grow if you don't move. Later that day, they see an ad for a moving company on their phone. That evening, a long-lost friend texts them from the city they've been dreaming of. Individually, these moments prove nothing, but together, they create a harmony too precise to ignore. It's as if life arranges breadcrumbs only your soul can recognize. Whether science calls it pattern recognition or spirituality calls it intuitive attunement, the result is the same. As awareness expands, so does your capacity to notice meaning in what once seemed ordinary. A forgotten memory suddenly surfaces with perfect timing. A phrase you'd normally overlook pierces you with truth. The outside world begins mirroring your internal transformation, and sometimes the confirmations come disguised as endings. A friendship quietly drifts apart. An interest that once fueled you no longer sparks joy. These aren't losses. They are gentle dissolutions of what no longer resonates. It's the universe making space. Not all signs appear glittering and bold. Some are simply soft doors closing behind you, reminding you that the old vibration can't breathe at this new altitude. And slowly, the storm calms. Noise subsides. Chaos fades. What remains is silence. So much silence that it almost feels wrong. But this silence isn't emptiness, it's stabilization. It's the settling of your new frequency. Like a plant rooting after blooming, you need this stillness to anchor into your upgraded awareness. At first, it feels strange, even unsettling. You wonder if you've lost momentum, but soon you realize You haven't lost momentum. You've gained grounding. This is the paradox of transformation. Expansion requires stillness after the breakthrough. Just like climbing to a higher altitude demands time for your lungs to adapt, spiritual and emotional elevation requires recalibration. What once left you gasping becomes natural over time. And the same applies here. What once felt unfamiliar soon becomes home. That's when you know you've fully crossed into the new frequency. The real evidence of your upgrade isn't in how loud your life becomes, but in how deeply aligned it feels. You stop obsessing over what's next, because you've become the very frequency you used to chase. You no longer pursue the change. You are the change. And when that peace, once unsettling, finally becomes your baseline, you'll realize stillness was never the absence of progress. It was the proof of it. The calm is not empty. It's the universe whispering, you've arrived. And if you've stumbled upon this message right now, understand this. Timing is not an accident. The confusion, the signs, the silence, the subtle calm, they're all proof you've already risen. Let the discomfort teach you. Let the synchronicities reassure you. Let the peace feel strange until it becomes familiar. Every step forward begins with a release, and every release creates the room where your truest self can finally breathe. The universe is never in a hurry. Growth is never rushed. It only asks that you keep trusting, even here, even now.